Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan Kohut, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Casey Jacox, the founder of Winning the Relationship LLC, where he provides executive sales leadership and coaching, drawing on over 25 years of business experience. He's the author of the book Win the Relationship, Not the Deal, which reshapes how sales teams build lasting client connections and improve internal cultures. Casey also hosts the Quarterback DadCast, sharing leadership and emotional intelligence insights for fathers, combining his sales expertise with personal growth. With that being said, Casey, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
I'm grateful, Milan. Appreciate the invite and look forward to having a great conversation today.
Happy to have you on here, man. We're going to dive right into it. What I love to do at the beginning of every single episode is a bit of traveling back in time, right? So before you even had this company, what were you doing before? And then eventually, what was the motivation for starting the business?
Well, way back, I used to be a former college athlete. So played quarterback in college. It got me into the wide world of staffing and consulting. I did that for 20 years. Um, sales leadership. And then I had this idea to write the book about, call it, I don't know, 8 years in, or 12 or 13 years into the company, but I didn't want to write it when I was still there because I didn't think that was fair to them or me. And then I just kept hearing this voice in my head that saying it was time. And at the end of the journey, and so I decided, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do because I always say right guy, right time, right place, but I was our number one rep for about 10 years straight. And doing the same thing over and over. I wanted to be surrounded by like the next opportunity that was like made me feel really uncomfortable, and I wasn't sure what that was. So I decided to, the timing was right in 2019, and I decided to like just write. And for 4 months, I locked myself in an office from 9 to 11:30 and wrote. Some days it was great, some days it sucked. Maybe it was a mix of both. I don't know. And but I knew I wanted to write a book that really helped. I wrote it for really four reasons, which was helping someone right out of college know, like, okay, if a leader saying, "Hey, you got to go out and build relationships with these companies." Well, how? How do you do it? Someone who's stuck in their career that maybe forgot some of the basic sales fundamentals. Wrote it for colleges to help get this type of content into college students when they're still there. And then lastly, I wrote it for like an executive who can say, man, so Casey is a seller. He did this. He just followed these six things and he produced those results. Well, I want my team to do that. The coaching journey, I did not mean to do this. This found me. And that's another story in itself. But I will tell you, Lon, I'm having the most fun I've ever had in my entire work life because I feel like a lot of the conversations I have with people, I have the answers to the tests, but I don't give them to them. I ask questions and use silence, and then they coach
Mm.
them. They essentially coach themselves, and it's so rewarding watching the impact you can have on people. And I never thought I'd do this, but it's meant to be.
Yeah, it is. And I'm actually glad that you said this, the principle of basically just sitting down with your client, asking the right questions so that the client can actually coach themselves, right? Now, this is something that I haven't been talking about for a long time. I just realized, and you reminded me of that. But for some reason, there's still a lot of people who don't really understand the principles of coaching and how this is different from therapy or any other basically form of help from a professional like yourself. But it really is, though, about the art of asking the right question at the right time, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm obsessed with curiosity. If you ever get an email from me, it says instead of saying best regards or whatever, I always say stay curious. And my goal in any meeting, I go on and I teach this to others, is to hear the phrase "great question," because if you're not
Mm.
hearing the phrase "great question," you're not making people think. And most people, I've learned, Milan, don't also ask second and third level questions, which is something I teach. What I mean by that is, so if I ask you a question, I would say, hey, tell me one thing about your day you liked, and you might say, whatever. Great, Milan, tell me more about that. And the number of times I've asked somebody, hey, tell me more about that, they've never said, Casey, go after yourself. I don't want to tell you more about me. They always do
Yeah.
because I'm genuinely curious. I want to learn about people. There's no false, there's no fake. I'm just a curious person. And I love to also connect others and not keep score. Did it right before jumped on this call,
Yeah.
you know, and but I think when you're curious and you listen to learn versus listen to persuade people, it opens up conversations you probably never thought you're going to have.
Absolutely. And especially, I mean, this is very fitting the background that you have in sales because I feel like childlike curiosity, it is one of the keys to effective communication in sales overall. So 100% agreed, man.
But funny you say that real quick because
Yeah.
I joke with people sometimes. I say, so imagine if you're a parent and your 3-year-old, mommy, daddy, can I have ice cream? No. Why? They say why like 15 times and you finally buckle and give them ice cream.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't that work for us in sales or leadership or cultures of our team? Like be curious, genuinely curious and watch what happens.
Agreed. I'm loving this. Okay, we're gonna move on because we can spend probably like the next
Oh yeah.
15 minutes on this. But yeah, I mean, listen, Casey, let's talk about where this journey overall got you because I can already tell that there has been a lot of pivoting and adjusting, as in any other business, really. But you said that coaching found you, basically, right? So I'm wondering, in this part of the podcast, my goal is to get the audience as close as possible to, first of all, who it is exactly that you're helping right now, but also what are the core offerings that you have in place for your clients? So tell us all about that.
Well, maybe really quick. I know that we got to keep these episodes short, but I want to tell people kind of what I mean by how coaching found me. So, nearly 6 years ago, my first client, shout out to Leslie at Claridge Marketing. She was looking for a coach to help one of her vice presidents. And when she asked me, hey, do you know anybody? In my mind, I was like, yeah, I could help her. But the story I told myself was, I'm not certified. I didn't go to coaching school, so it can't be me. And so I reached out to a guy I know named Andrew, and I said, hey, Andrew, I'm hoping you can help me out, man. I think I'm supposed to get into coaching, but I'm not certified, quote unquote. What do you think I should do? And he's like, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I go, okay. He goes, I just don't think you can take it. I go, I think I can. With all due respect, I don't mean to be defensive, but I played college football. I've thrown 4 interceptions and a half and booed in the stadium. I've been part of some of my company's biggest deals, biggest flops. I think I can take it. Shoot me straight. He's like, all right, cool. So what I heard about you did this, this, and this. You did this, this, and this. I go, yep. He goes, good. Then get out of my mother effing face and stop wasting my mother effing time. And I'm just like, what? I looked at him. He goes, hey, dumbass, here's your certification. You wrote a book about it. Are you kidding me? I'm like, oh my God, thank you. I felt like a fifth grader who got in trouble at recess. I hung up with him. I called Leslie back, the CEO, and I said, Les, hey, it's Case. I know you told me you have to go, but do you have like 2 more minutes? She goes, you better talk fast. I go, are you? Oh, I will. Are you still looking for your coach? She goes, yeah. I go, I think I found your guy. Can I tell you about him? And I described myself in third person. She's like, oh my God, who is it? I go, it's me. When do I start? And she took a risk on me, and I'm very grateful for that. And every customer for the last 5.5 years has been personal referral. I've not looked back. But my certification is win the relationship, not the deal. I'm the only one who's certified in that. I'm the only one.
Yeah.
And to me, I think like that is what is so powerful and exciting about this. But in terms of the offering, back to your question, I think it's a lot about mindset, the words we use. I help ignite the superpowers of humility, vulnerability, and curiosity. Those are just words for some people, but when you make them part of your culture and who you are as a person, they are absolute superpowers. Um, I do a lot of sales process work with companies. I got taught something called MEDIC late in my career, which is I think I use MEDIC in my own business. It's an acronym. A lot of people do it. I have my own spin on it. Um, and then I'd say a lot of the work I also do is like just core messaging internally and externally. Like what you think you do to your clients, think you do that, or are you just assuming and guessing?
Yeah. How did you structure the offers? Because and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you're kind of like balancing between the world of B2B where you work with the corporates and their teams, but also working on the B2B B2C side where you work directly with individuals. Is that correct?
I, no, actually, so yeah, that's a good
Oh.
question to call out. So at 99.99999% of the work I've done, I've only brought on one person that's not with the company.
Mm.
Um, the company has to hire me. And the reason why I have that right now in my model is because let's say, for example, you hire me, you want to hire me, but what you believe in what I'm teaching and in my experience, because I can prove it works in my world. Maybe it won't work for other people, but I have stories where it does. Let's say your CEO doesn't want you to do that. Well, in my mind, I feel like I'm not helping, and I don't. In walking the walk of my book's about win the relationship, not the deal. I want to win people, and I'd rather say no because I'd rather impact. 30 people in the company and completely change the culture of a company through real world stories, through proof. So yeah, it's mainly company led. They either bring me in to speak or I'll end up doing coaching or have one of the executives on my podcast. And then, which again, that was never the goal, but they all kind of go like this and they offer opportunity. But yeah, right now I'd say almost 100% of the time, my model is B2B.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked you that question though, because I 100% thought that you're working on both sides. But also, let me ask you this. I feel like you're definitely the type of person that I can challenge with pretty much anything. So I'm going
Sure.
to do that right now.
Please.
Obviously, on the podcast, we're talking about business stuff all the time, right? And scalability is one of the biggest parts of the topics that we discuss. So when you compare working on the side of really just corporates and getting those companies to hire you, and you compare it with the power of working with the B2C sector, where you can pretty much work with anybody who's a high performer, doing sales, doing leadership positions, anything like that. Do you feel like working with corporates is in some way going to affect your ability to grow and scale the company in the future? And you're going to be forced to go into B2C, or what are your thoughts on that?
No, what's going to prevent me from scaling is me. I'm a one-man band. There's only one Casey out there, unless I create my own Chat GPT version of Casey, which I'm thinking about doing. I just personally like at this stage of my life, Lon, my priorities are my kids, my wife, um, and not missing. I said no to speaking at a conference to see my son play golf in a college tournament. My daughter, she's a senior in high school. She's going to go play basketball in college where I played football. Not doing everything in my power not to miss a game. Like that to me is more important than missing out on X. Because I'm almost the ripe old age of 50. And at this stage of my life, it's about serving, just serving. And if it's one person, great. If it's like one company, I'm working with 70 of their leaders right now. So again, I'm only one person. So during this time, I've had a waiting list at times, which felt weird to even talk about because I never thought I would ever have one. Um, but yeah, I mean, a fair question, and I want people to challenge me because there's never one way to do anything. But like right now, as a one man band, I think that's going to stop me because I'm only one
Yeah.
guy.
That makes a lot of sense, but when you put it this way, then obviously it doesn't really have to be the biggest question for you right now. You're in no rush. And also, if you combine it with the fact that you shared with me and the audience at the very beginning of the podcast, where you basically said, like, I'm having so much fun right now, even more than I expected. I feel like this is the end goal, though, like for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like the cliches in life are true, right? That if you find what you love, you're never going to work it in your life. I don't feel like I work because it's like I know what I know. I'm so confident in this work because I have experienced a lot of years of failure. And in the power of the three superpowers I talked about, humility, vulnerability, and curiosity, I love sharing where I sucked with my clients. I love sharing where I got, had ups and downs, where I felt nervous, where I felt scared. Like we're all flawed humans. We got that in common. And I'd say the one thing I'm not, though, Milan, is a life coach.
Hmm.
Because now when I'm 90, then I can be a life coach. But until I'm 90, I don't think I have enough life experience to become a life coach. And so when I see the 31-year-old life coach, I would say I'd run. I would run. Do not. Maybe there's a great one out there, but for me, if we're going to use the phrase life coach, you got to have a lot of life experience to become a life coach.
Yeah, 100%. Now, there is another side of this that I want to talk about, and maybe this is not as much of an importance to you right now at this stage of your company, but as you already know, we talk about a lot of stuff in regards to marketing, sales, operations, strategies, all this kind of good stuff, right? So in case there's somebody listening to this podcast episode right now, maybe somebody who's already part of your industry or anybody else just starting, when you think about your journey and what you had to do from the side of marketing or maybe specifically generating leads for yourself to make all of this happen, what are those activities? How did it look like for you?
I think it goes back to curiosity. I'm very fortunate where I didn't have to worry about top of funnel stuff since the majority, high percentage of my work has all been off referral. So I think about that. Very grateful for that. Now the things that have changed. I mean, I've done a couple of rebrands with my website. I've done some rebrands on like my PowerPoints to make those look more professional. I've done a rebrand on my podcast artwork. I've used AI with my podcast on like summaries to like help save time. I mean, a lot of things like that come to mind. Um, but I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does, though. It does. I mean, to be honest, if I think about this, not that many people are in a similar position where they can call themselves lucky in a sense of having that big of a network that can actually provide you with some initial clients who can then also keep building the network so that you have those clients coming in from word of mouth. But also, I mean, if you're not in that position, obviously you cannot really just believe in the word of mouth because this is inconsistent source, right? Yeah, like you can have a good month or a good period of time where you get like 10 clients and then you can have a dry year and nobody's coming through the front door, right? So
Yeah.
if you didn't have this referral system that you have, what do you think is the right action to take when it comes to your industry specifically to actually make it happen and get some clients?
Yep. Great. Yeah. I'm glad we're going to dive deeper. So the biggest thing I would say is make sure when I work with people, like it could be a business, no matter what industry is, understand who your ICP is, your ideal customer profile. Do you understand, do you understand why your business exists? Do you understand what problems you guys solve? Do you understand how you might do those differently or better than your competition? Do you have a story of where you've helped people? Like right there is your story. I would encourage people to talk in third person versus first person. And what I mean by that is, so if I'm like, hey, so what do you do? What do you? Oh, I provide A, B, and C, and D and F. That's like first person talking about what I do. But if I say, hey, well, many of my clients they come to me to help them solve um, curiosity challenges. My clients come to me to solve sales process challenges. So they're spending the right time. They're spending the right time and the right deals at the right time so they can increase revenue. They also come to me for A, B, and C. Tell me how those problems I'm solving for them can positively impact you. So you turn your core message into a story and then end with a question. Um, Another thing I think people could be doing is like be intentional on LinkedIn. Be
Mm.
intentional about on LinkedIn. That's just one social channel I'll use. And so I started my business on LinkedIn on accident, along with being a referral. But like I just started networking with people. And what I love about LinkedIn is I don't have to get permission. So like if you post something on LinkedIn, I don't have to ask you, hey Milan, would it be okay if I left a comment on that post? You don't have, you don't you could sure you could delete it. But if I'm thoughtful, I'm like, wow, or I reshare something you did without asking you for anything and truly thoughtful. I think that those are like simple ways. And again, it's not gonna happen overnight, everybody. And if it does, it's probably not gonna withstand anything. But if you do the right things along the way, many things I wrote about in my book, you'll win. But too many people in life, we want it now. We're impatient. We expect immediate wins, and we think that AI is going to solve our problems. Well, it might, but I'm betting on EQ over AI still right now. I'm betting on EQ. I think how we're like where I came from, the staffing industry and consulting industry, people buy from people. And that actually probably can speak to many industries. So if I don't impact you, whether it's at a networking event, how I show up, how I follow up with a meeting recap, maybe I say no. Maybe I'm like, hey, you know what, Juan? I'm not the right guy for you. I don't think our company's the right fit, but let me help you find someone else. Who's doing that? I know I did that multiple times in my company, I've done it in the consulting world. And I think when you can do uncommon things like that, you create uncommon experiences and you create more ways for you to be memorable with people versus doing what everybody else does.
That
Does
is
that
a great
help?
idea, though. It does, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also encourage anybody listening just to rewind a couple of minutes. It was helpful, 100%. Now,
And
when
take
we,
notes.
yeah, notes, that's a good one too. Um, Casey, let's talk about the future though. You sort of gave us a sneak peek into what is really the main thing for you right now with your kids, with your wife, spending time with the family, really building this kind of like a lifestyle sort of business. So when you think about, let's say, the next year, what would you say are the biggest goals, targets, revenue, milestones, whatever comes to your mind?
I don't do revenue goals, which people are probably are shocked. Like, what? What are you, an idiot? I, I literally, I, I, I show up to serve, and that might be really naive, and people might believe that people can choose what they want here. But like, my goal is to have it like we'll call it, speaking it or more speaking engagements early in the year, coaching throughout the year, and then speaking at the end of the year, high level. And uh, I think that the biggest goals I have are impact as many people as I can, impact the habits that I got taught. Now I'm setting the elevator back down to help others, challenge people to replicate themselves, and do the little things that most sales teams or companies don't want to do, which is the power of practice, the power of working on your mind. Um, we're working hard to. One of my goals is trying to do my best to remove fear from every company I work with and instill confidence. Like, and have the leaders truly inspect fear, because fear is in so many companies. It's usually it's the leader's issue. He or she's doing it on an accident. And if you don't inspect fear, so I mean, those are things that like fill my tank. That if I can make an impact, and then continue to share my messages on LinkedIn, and those usually are just shared through inspiration. When I get inspired by someone else, I'll go do a video, or I'll write about it, or I'll leave a comment for somebody. But those are my goals, man. Oh, I will say the last big goal I have is I want when I'm 85, which I got some time, I want my book right next to Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, or Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, and then Casey Jacox's Win the Relationship, Not the Deal will be right there. And very proud of that book. I've not, all the reviews are organic. Um, and as the author of the book, I've read the thing 10 times, not because I'm an egomaniac, but mainly when I'll reread parts of it when I'm coaching people, just to make sure that I'm like, and when I reread my own stuff, I learn from myself, Lon, which tells me I'm
Yeah.
just as flawed as everybody else. But it's a thing when we have to, these books, these things are like reminders that we have to keep reminding ourselves and keep working at it and have the discipline. So, long-winded answer. Those are my goals, and that's like my mindset of how to just stay present with what I'm trying to achieve and help people.
Yeah. I love how impact driven this really is. So let me do one more challenge here. When you think
Please.
about impacting this amount of people and also getting on stages and doing this on a high level, what would you say could become the biggest challenge to make it happen?
Time. Um, like for example, I have an opportunity to speak. I turned 50 this year. I have a client that wants me to speak on my birthday. Now, I told them, I said, sarcastically speaking, I did not anticipate spending my 50th birthday party with you in your company. However, I'm open-minded to it. It might work, you know. Um, I think for me, it's about the choice and the time. And, I think the challenge could be if I let myself get too far out of whack from a go, 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 then be on airplanes like I was a lot in my corporate career versus being very
Mm,
selective on when I get on an airplane and being selective of when I'm going to speak. And is this the right event for me? Is it not? And not all events are going to be right for me. And that's okay. I'm completely fine with that. And the more that I've, you know, opened up doors for people, which I love doing with my clients, watching them make tons of money. I don't make more money when they make money, but I make money in karma.
yeah.
That's what fills my tank. But I think for me, it's gonna be time and just my own mind getting in the way. Which, knock on wood, it won't.
Yeah. I'm loving the self-awareness here. That's good. Now, Casey, I want to leverage on the fact that you've been in the industry for many years now, right? It was like a combination of high-end positions and also now you running your own business, entrepreneurship, all that kind of good stuff. So if you could travel back though, maybe to the very beginning of your journey as an entrepreneur, what would be the best piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Give yourself grace. Um, Perfect doesn't exist, and don't let the start stop you. What I mean by that is too often, like I teach this to my clients, so maybe I'll give your audience like kind of some free coaching here. So I would remove the swear words that many people say to themselves, which is now what I teach and I inspect and coach and hold people accountable for, which is I need to, I should do, I want to, I have to, or I can't. And instead we're just going to say I will or I won't. And you're going to write it down. And the things that you say I will, you're going to do it, and you're going to put a date by it, and there's no excuses. And we're going to keep that list small, so we make sure that we keep taking one step up the ladder. when we say I need to do more marketing. I should start being better at this. I have to get out biz dev. Man, I need to spend more time on LinkedIn. Oh, I need to exercise. Well, all those needs tos and those should tos just create anxiety in your brain, in your subconscious.
Yeah.
And so
So
like
much chaos.
yeah, and so when I get people to change, I say, so imagine Milan, where do you live?
Slovakia, Bratislava.
Slovakia. So imagine you're going to come visit me and you take off and in the plane and they're like, "Hey, welcome to flight." Oh, shoot. We we need to file a flight plan, everybody. We'll be right back. Where would your anxiety be? Probably pretty high, right? So why are we running our life that way? Versus, hey, welcome to flight 126 from Slovakia to X. Welcome, we're excited to do this, da, 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 da. And the power of I will is something that I would go back and just and back to myself of grace. Like I don't have to have all the answers. I don't need to be perfect. I can't serve thousands, but what I can do is just be the best person I can in that moment with being present, being fundamentally sound with how I ask questions, how I follow up, how I document, and watch what will happen from there.
I
That's how I
love
would
that
tell.
practice. Yeah, basically focusing on what you can control, the inputs. Yeah. Listen, man, you gave me a lot that I can work with. So I'm pretty sure that we could be sitting here for the next 2 hours and diving deeper into everything. But I think this successfully wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. So I want to say thank you, Casey, for taking the time, sharing this story with the audience, with me. If anybody from the listeners wanted to get in touch with you, maybe even work with you one day, what is the best way to go about that?
I'm very active on LinkedIn. Well, hey, thank you for asking. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I would say connect with me that way. My website's just caseyjacox.com. You can learn all about there's stories from other people who've already worked with me, both written and then video. My book's on Amazon. So that's a great place to go get it. Or if you want to learn more about, if you're a dad and you want to learn more about my podcast, those episodes come out every Thursday morning, and you can get them on wherever those podcasts are. We're on all the channels. So yeah. And if I'm not the right fit, I'll make sure I help you find someone else.
Beautiful. Love it, man. Now, to our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a coach, consultant, or you have an agency, and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closers.io, get in touch with our team, and discover how exactly we scaled our company from zero to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing, and I'll see you on the next one.
And if you are a business owner, specifically coach, consultant, or an agency, and you're really looking to scale your business and enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.